Happy holidays. Hello from Jeff's house. Hola desde de la casa del jefe. Hello aus Jeff's house. That's me. Another year's passed, another great year. Thank you all for the business. Thank you all for being my friends and my customers. It's been great. I can't believe another year's gone by. Now, if you remember last year, I sent you all those little spice jars, those spice mixes. If you forgot about it, the video for that gift, I'm posting below this one on my webpage. So if you're on this on my webpage, it's right below us. But everyone seemed to like the video. Everybody seemed to like the spice rub. It was kind of fun, so I thought I'd do it again. I thought, what should I do this year? And then I remembered. Earlier this year at a tech conference, I was handing out some of my homemade cookies, and somebody actually expressed doubt. They didn't think I made the cookies myself. I had the same reaction, so to satisfy all the doubters out there, I got my stuff together and I made two treats for you this year. My Cranberry Almond Biscotti and, drumroll please, Jeff's Bourbon Caramel Apple Butter. Here's what you got. Inside the box, looks like this. That's why you got to my site. Biscotti. Bourbon Caramel Apple Butter. When you open it, best way to enjoy it, you can do lots of things with it. Listen for the pop, right? Hermetically sealed by heat. We'll go over that in a little bit. Now, you can put this on pork chops. It's delicious. You can put it on top of your breakfast biscuits. But perhaps the easiest and fastest way for you to enjoy it right there at your desk at the office is to take one of these delicious biscotti and follow this procedure. First, have your coffee beverage of choice at the ready. Mine is a perfectly made latte. Dip, nip, sip. Repeat, repeat, repeat. What follows is proof positive of my culinary competence, but it all starts with apples. Lots and lots of apples. You have to see this to believe it with a cool machine. Let's get to it. This is really delicious. Okay, I literally had to do 50 pounds of apples for these things. And I had to peel them all and core them all, and I found this amazing little device, and it changed my life. It made it go so fast. Look at that. Look at this. All the way down. And not only did it peel the apple, but in one twisty step, it cored the apple and sliced the apple into pieces. All I have to do is slice them in half now, and they have perfect little slices to cook down. Crazy, right? Now, put all those little slices in a bunch of pots, cook them with some cinnamon and some clove and a little bit of other spices mixed in just to get the flavors you want. Now that the apples and all those delightful spices are cooking away for hours and hours and hours, we have to turn our attention to the bourbon caramel part of the equation. And for bourbon caramel, you need bourbon. Into the safe we go. Now notice, I've got these alcohols right here. And this isn't all the alcohols I have. This is my cooking alcohols. I keep them here next to my spices because that's the way you need to think of alcohol. When you're cooking alcohol becomes a spice, a flavoring agent, a way to bring out more flavors. How do we do that? Let's investigate. The science. Chemically, esters look like this. Carbon in the middle, oxygen at the top, hydroxy on this end, and that R means just about anything else. We use them all the time in the modern world, everything from thinning paint varnish to making plastics. But organic esters are necessary for life itself. We all make them. Without esters, you wouldn't be you. And you know what? When you mix organic esters in with an acid, you get different compounds. Let me show you one. This is butyl acetate. Butyl acetate sounds nasty, right? Right. It's not. Butyl acetate is a naturally occurring organic ester that makes apples smell like apples. Honeybees use it too. Different thing altogether. We can take and make some of this. If we have an ester base, mix it with acid, alcohol, and a little bit of heat, like in cooking, you can get more appley compounds and cinnamon compounds and aromatic oils to come out of the food and to be more present. And it's like turning up the volume. That's why alcohol works in cooking. It's turning up the volume on flavors that you want, which is why we use it. Science is tasty. Now, that said, different alcohols for different things. If you're making a tomato sauce, wine is a beautiful addition. If you're making a dessert or a steak sauce, cognac, beautiful with mushrooms, beautiful with tarragon, beautiful with steak. If you're making a whiskey sauce, I prefer a fine single malt like Glenmorangie here, my personal favorite. If, on this case, however, we're making a Bourbon Caramel Apple Butter, we of course need bourbon. This is a good one, bullet. Let's try it out, shall we? Better lock it up. Can't trust the neighbors. We're good. So we cook down the spices in a little bit of butter, and then we add the bourbon and let it simmer for a little bit. Now, if you're patient, let it come to a rolling boil, and then this is where the magic happens. Okay, that didn't really happen, but it could. Practice cooking safety. I've been flambeing spirits since I was 19 years old, working at the Marriott Resort in Phoenix, so I've been doing it a lot. Have your fire extinguisher ready, have experience, don't do it unless you know what you're doing. You certainly don't have to flambe it like this. I think it adds a pleasant smokiness and some additional complexity, but you don't have to. The alcohol will cook off on its own naturally and mix in with all the other flavors, so it's all good. Anyway, I like doing this. And then you cover it, you bring it, see how it's rolling to a boil? Add your sugar, continue to stir, consistent stirring, you can't walk away from it. After a time, it's becoming candy. It's actually becoming caramel and toffee in the pan. That's just what we want. And before it becomes all the way to toffee, we're going to take it off to keep it as a nice caramel sauce. Mix the bourbon caramel into the apple butter and spices and cook until it's reduced by about 1/3 over the next 3 to 4 hours. For each batch, I did 6 batches. Yes, I love you. After all that time, it's going to be blazing hot, and you've got to bottle it up when it's still blazing hot in those airtight containers so that it seals and it gets all for freshness, and those little jars have to spread joy around the world, and we don't want anybody getting something bad. But we're not done yet, folks. Well then, it's November 25th, and it's snowing and it's cold. Do I de-ice the driveway, or better idea, let's make biscotti. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, all the best cookie recipes start with butter and sugar that are whipped together. Could be United States, could be France, could be Germany, could be Italy. Doesn't matter. Cookies and butter and sugar. Mix your dry ingredients on the side. Flour, lemon zest, salt, a little bit of baking powder just to make things right. Add eggs to your butter and your sugar, and then combine the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. And then fold in your cranberries and your almonds. You can use cherries, but I prefer cranberries, a little bit tartar, a little sweeter. Then everything gets rolled out on a nicely floured board because we're making cookies. This recipe makes 2 loaves of biscotti, so you divide your batch in half and you roll each one out into basically a log about as long as your pan, and you get 2 of them per batch. Flatten it out, brush with egg wash, a little bit of sugar on top, you're ready to go. And this is what success looks like. Slice them evenly on the bias. I like about a 1/2 inch thick biscotti. Not too thick, not too thin. That way nobody's disappointed. Each loaf I found got me about 16 biscotti. Oh, look. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful, and it tastes beautiful, too. So, yeah, it's about 16 slices. Can you imagine how many of these I did? Cookies. I have a lot of baking to do. For me. This is the first batch. More batches on the way. I gotta do like 8 batches. That's it for this time, friends. Remember, you got one of these because I appreciate you. We've been doing work together or hanging out at the conferences and seeing each other for the whole year. It's been a great year, and I can't help but think that even 2019 is going to be even better. Things are going great. So until I see you again, Fröhliche Weihnachten, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. If I can get another one of those biscotti. Gotta have a spare biscotti here somewhere.